Okay, welcome back to another edition of Action Figure Imagery Tour Reviews, everyone. Today we're having a look at King Kong figure from NECA. It came out earlier this year. And as you see, is the front of the packaging. This is a pretty big packaging, as you can see. A closer look at it. It's the front of the packaging. And there's the side, left side of the packaging. It has King Kong name on there, and you see NECA logo, Real Toys NECA. It also has an insert that opens up, Velcro, you see, opens up, and the Kong figure is inside, and along with the accessories, the extra head and extra hands. And you can close that back up. Look at the back, and you'll get closer pictures of these in a slideshow. And at the bottom of it, it lets you know he has interchangeable head and hands. And there's the right side of the packaging. Words at the bottom, Real Toys NECA. And from the looks of it, this looks like a 1930s version of King Kong. To me it does, it seemed that way. And now that you've seen the packaging, and as already mentioned, we'll have a closer look at the packaging when the slideshow arrives. But as for now, let's see what Kong looks like out of the packaging. Okay folks, here's Kong out of the packaging as promised, and I must say he's a wonderful figure, and I was excited about this purchase, and it's a very nice figure. Like I said earlier, I think it's based on the 1930s version of King Kong. But however, we're going to look at the details of the figure first, and then we'll look at the articulation. However, I think this figure has elements of the old 1930s King Kong, along with elements of Peter Jackson's King Kong, and I'll explain that as we go along. As far as the 1930s Kong, it's the first head, the face. If you look closely at the first King Kong movie, he does have his little pointy head. So I think the head sculpt is based on 1930s Kong. Elements from the Peter Jackson King Kong that came out, I think it was in the late 90s or early 2000s. Mid 2000s, somewhere in that range, are the scars on his chest. All the scars you see from him fighting against those dinosaurs on Skull Island, or was it? I think it's Krull Island or Scroll Island? I keep forgetting. I think it's Skull Island. Yes, I'm thinking Krulls. I'm thinking about Marvel, the Marvel characters Krulls, and he comes with the fist. And as you'll see later in the slideshow, he comes with two other pairs of accessories. Come with two different pairs of hands and the extra default head. And you see, NECA did an excellent job. He did an excellent job in the fur, the details in the fur. You see the striations all over the figure, the fur striations, and the figure has some good weight to him too. It feels good in your hands. And see the rest of the figure. Okay, now let's go over the articulation of King Kong, of this NECA King Kong. First, we'll start with the head. It can move down by barely move down at all, but it can move up by like that much. Very good upward head movement right there, so you can see. By the way, I purchased this figure at a local Target, and it was around $30. As for downward head movement, is almost non-existent, but side to side, you can see, you can move his head from side to side. As for the arms, elbows, when you look at the joints, it looks as if he's supposed to have outward arm movement. However, I can't seem to get his arms to move outward. They can move up and down. However, for outward movement, it's very hard to do. It looks like he might have outward movement when you see these little joints right here. Look like it, but when you try to make his arms go outward, it's kind of tough to do. He does have a pivot at the shoulder, both shoulders pivot, shoulder pivot. But see, you can turn. Yes, it can turn, but it's kind of hard to do. It's tight, very tight, but it can be turned just a little bit, just a tad bit. He also has joints at the elbow for bending his elbow. You got double joints, look like it, right here. No swivel at the elbow. I thought this would have a swivel, but it doesn't. He does have a little bit of a swivel at the fist. And as for the chest, you got the diaphragm frame for bending, hunching over. And that's one of the only negatives I got to say about the figure is you can't make them stand straight. It's hard to make them stand straight up without falling down. If you have him standing straight up, you would have to hunch his back a little bit to make him stand properly without falling. But the diaphragm frame is very nicely articulated. You can see you can crouch him a little bit, hunch him over a little bit at the chest, then you can bend him back a little bit. So that's pretty good right there. And no swivel at the waist. He has, you can move his thigh up about like that. He does have knee articulation. You can bend his knee about like that far and swivel at the at the feet. Okay. I think I covered all of Kong's articulation, and the figure is so big. The figure is about almost right at 8 inches tall. You'll see in the slideshow how tall he really is, along with the accessories in comparison to other figures. And we're about to go to the slideshow, starting right now. Okay, folks, here's the slideshow as promised. There's some confusion on my part as when this Kong figure, this particular King Kong figure was released. Now, NECA, on NECA's website, they have this figure listed twice. I think it's the same figure. It was originally being released last year in 2020, and it was listed again on the website as being released this year in March of 2021 of this year. So there's some confusion. So I'm assuming that this particular King Kong figure is a re-release, if I'm not mistaken. It has to be, because it's listed twice on NECA's website, and I thought this figure looked familiar before. You see the insert, the opening. However, I did purchase this figure this year, April as a matter of fact of this year, at a local Target, $29.99. Might as well say $30, round it off. As you see Kong in the packaging, you see his extra hands, and saw the extra head, and the default head. And you see there he is out of the packaging. There's a close-up shot of the default head, and bloodshot eyes, look like it, reddish looking eyes. You see the scars, the scratches from his battles and fights. And there's a close-up view of the right side of Kong profile. As you see, has that cone-shaped head. This original look for King Kong, by the way, when he first came out in the 1930s. And there's the left side view. You see how detailed the fur is with the striations, the hair. Very nice job by NECA. And there's the default head again. You see the scratches. And this is indeed, as I mentioned earlier, I think this is a mixture of the original King Kong mixed with some Peter Jackson King Kong with the scars, and the face sculpt is that of the original Kong. And you see how tall he is. He's a little bit over 7 inches tall, almost at 8, but doesn't look like he's exactly 8. Well, I had to bend his knees a little bit to make him stand up straight. And there's a comparison of him to other figures, 2 wrestling figures, Gronkowski and Rob Gronkowski and Nick Jackson of AEW. There's my efforts at trying to make it look as if he's beating his chest like gorillas do when they're angry or excited. And there you see there's the peg without the head. I said that Rob Gronkowski was a wrestling figure, but he's actually a football player. But that's another story. There he is with the default hands and default head. The extra hands and extra head right there. There's the extra head right there. Mouth. The difference between the extra head and the main head is you notice the extra head, his mouth is more wide open than the default head. He has his mouth wide open. You can see his gums more, and also the extra head looks as if Kong is angry, more angrier rather. And there he is. You can use the default hands for lifting things, make Kong lift things. As you see here, he is lifting the box that my camcorder that I used to record his video, not this particular slideshow, but this particular video with. That's the box my camcorder came in, and you see Kong lifting that. That's what he looks like without his default hand. And see the insert. Get a close-up shot of that insert where you would insert the hand right there. There you go. And the extra hands are definitely great for lifting. And Kong lifting poses and lifting and grabbing poses, such as right here, he grabs a Toy Biz Iceman figure. And the fists are good for him punching poses. And if you want a combination of both, open palm or fist, whichever you like best, that's nice to have that option. There's the inside of the packaging from the top. And you see the jungle. You see the trees. And there he is out of the packaging. This picture right here proves that you can take Kong out of the packaging without destroying the packaging. You don't have to destroy the package to take the figure out. You can still leave the packaging intact. Okay, folks, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Until the next video, everyone have a blessed day, and we'll see you in the next video.